This happened July 2nd, 1863. And on the afternoon of July 2nd, this man, a 34-year-old school teacher, was told, whatever you do, you can't leave this position. Placed 3/4 of the way up a hill. Now, at this point, he wasn't a colonel in the Union Army. I mean, he wasn't a school teacher. He was a colonel in the Union Army. He wasn't a colonel because he knew anything about battle tactics. He was a colonel because he was the first guy from his hometown to volunteer. Right? First guy in the recruiting office. They were like, oh, thank God we have a colonel. Next two guys through are majors. I mean, that's pretty much how it went. But he was told, whatever you do, you can't leave here. They said, the enemy will try to breach our line through you, and if they come through you, they'll gain the high ground. They'll come down on all of us from behind and wipe us out. They said, you are the extreme left edge of this line of 80,000 men that runs into this town over here called Gettysburg. So they spent the entire morning and early afternoon laying up a rock wall. It's about thigh high, 110 yards long. Flat rocks and big stone right in the middle of it. And 2:30 in the afternoon, the 15th and 47th Alabama charged up that wall. Chamberlain and his men of the 20th Maine pushed them back. They charged again. On the fourth charge, Chamberlain took a bullet, dead center, right in the belt buckle. Knocked him down. He realized he wasn't hurt, got back up, kept fighting again, pushed him back down. Fifth charge, they made it to the wall, fighting on both sides of the wall. Black powder smoke, you couldn't see who was who. Finally disentangled, pushed them back down the hill a fifth time to find they're out of ammunition and down to 80 men. They'd started in Bangor, Maine 6 months earlier with 1,000 men. Started that morning with 300. Now they're down to 80.
That's just his group.
That's just his group. Chamberlain's brother's right under him saying, we're leaving, right? And he said, no, we're not going anywhere. And so Sergeant Tozier comes over. Shall we sound the retreat? We will not be going anywhere. And they said, sir, we're out of ammunition. He said, have the men gather ammunition from the dead and the wounded. And they said, we did that last time. We're out. Right? So you moms, think about this. A 12-year-old kid traveling with that group, he was their lookout. He had climbed a poplar tree. He said, they're reforming. They're being reinforced. And they looked down a meadow on the left, and Texas Division was coming over to join the two Alabama groups. And then the kid said, here they come. Up the hill they come, firing their weapons, stopping behind trees to reload. His brother's right under him saying, do something, say something. They're right here, you know. And Chamberlain said, fix bayonets. They looked at him like he was nuts, and he yelled it again, fix bayonets. And up and down the line, you could hear the steel on the steel as these guys laid their knives on their empty weapons. Then he turned to Tozier and said, have the men execute a great right wheel. Swing the left first, do it now. Lieutenant Melcher had just walked up. He's a flag bearer. He said to Tozier, he said, what's a great right wheel? Tozier said, it's a charge. This crazy man's fixing to charge. Right? And before anybody could stop him, Chamberlain jumps up on the wall, swung his sword down the hill, told him to charge. They poured over the wall into a history most of the people in our country hadn't even heard, because 80 men without ammunition captured over 400 of the enemy. When they saw them coming over the wall, they thought, surely these aren't the same people we've been fighting, right? I mean, they thought they had been reinforced. And most of the Confederates threw their weapons down and ran. Chamberlain literally, 5 minutes later, passed a private guarding 100 men under an oak tree by himself. And the private said to Chamberlain, he said, sir, I have no ammunition in my weapon. And Chamberlain said, don't tell them. Right? Now, here's the thing people don't, this really happened. And this is in the book. But this is the part that people don't understand, is that see, I always thought that if, you know, because historians say that had Chamberlain not charged, the South would have won at Gettysburg. And if the South had won at Gettysburg, the South would have won the war and it had been over by the end of the summer. And I always thought that if the South had won at Gettysburg, we'd be the North and the South. But historians say that our continent would look more like Europe. We'd be the North, the South, Texas and the desert Southwest would have been several countries, Northwest Territories, several more, Canada at least 3, Mexico at least 2. And today, had Chamberlain not charged with no ammunition, historians say that we would be a continent of 9 to 13 countries, which means that when Hitler swept across Europe in the 1940s, there would not have existed a United States of America to stand in the breach. When Hirohito systematically invaded the islands of the South Pacific, there wouldn't have been a united anything, much less a country big enough, strong enough, powerful enough, wealthy enough, able to fight and win 2 wars on 2 fronts for the protection of the rest of the world. And whatever you think about what we do around the world today, the fact remains, we exist as we do. The United States of America exists as we do. By the way, this is the longest tenured government on the planet now. Did you know this? There are countries older than us, but as far as one continuous form of government, we are the longest, or the last, depending on how you look at it. And we exist as we do because of one 34-year-old school teacher and one move he made 150 years ago. This is the butterfly effect, and you are no less an example of the butterfly effect than Chamberlain was. Everything you do matters.